Blessed be everyone. Welcome to another Mystery Witch School YouTube Live. Welcome to those of you who are watching the live at the moment, and for those of you who are watching the replay today, we are talking about working with Hekate and working with the tarot to find your true path. I did a video last week on Hekate, and so this week we're going to be diving more into working with her in one of the ways that you can work with her very powerfully, and that is by using the tarot. And this is using the tarot for more of a self-knowledge, self-inquiry, where you might be feeling stuck in your life. Maybe it's to do with decisions you need to make and you're not sure what decision to make, or you're not trusting your inner knowing about what decision to make, which is probably more the truth, because we always do know deep down inside what the right decision is. Often we're just not listening to our intuition and to our higher self. And Hecate can be very, very helpful there, and she can give you a little bit of a kick up the butt for not listening to your intuition and not really, stepping into who you really are as well. So we're going to be talking about that today. Welcome, Shannon. Welcome, Sandy and Tony. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, James. Merry meet and blessed be. Awesome. And of course, welcome to those of you watching the replay as well. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sandra. I've been on the witchcraft path for over 35 years now, and I now help other witches and pagans who are struggling to start their witchcraft practice or deepen a practice that they already have, to confidently integrate magic and ritual and connection to self and the divine into your life on a daily basis with ease, so that it doesn't have to be difficult. And I work with Hecate a lot for the inner inquiry work, and I work with her with the tarot as well. It's very easy to work with tarot, with Hecate with tarot. All you have to do is ask for her presence and ask for her wisdom to help guide you as you read the cards. Hi, Angeli. Hi, Dwight. Blessed be and everything. Awesome. Okay. So for those of you who have just joined, we're talking about Hecate and the tarot, of course. This is really particularly when you're feeling stuck. You don't know what decisions to make, what your next step could be. It might just be that you've got a lingering sense that you're not quite where you want to be or doing what you want to be doing, but you're not quite sure how to navigate your way onto a path that aligns more with what you do want and who you truly are. And also asking Hecate to help you use tarot to help you connect more with your intuition. Because the tarot isn't just about looking for answers about what the future is going to bring. Of course, that's its reputation, and it's a lot of its history is divination, and it's good for doing divination, of course. But the tarot can really only tell you where things may be heading from the present moment. And the present moment is always changing. And we can change our trajectory simply by understanding where we are in the present moment and knowing what we might need to change about ourselves and our circumstances in order to have a better future. So the tarot isn't about something that's concretely going to happen in the future. You do have the ability to navigate your way through that. But the tarot can, of course, help you see that if you're going on the same trajectory that you're going on now, or if you make a decision, a particular decision, this is the likely outcome that's going to happen from that. But when it comes to the inner work and creating the life we want to create using magic, we can also use the tarot to help us understand more about ourselves and how we may be blocking our own path moving forward. Because a lot of the blocks that are in our way from progressing to where we want to be are actually coming from within ourselves. And that's not just to put blame and say that we're guilty or to be blaming for everything that happens in our lives. It gives us, just takes our power back and allows us to see where we can change things within ourselves to give ourselves more power over how our life turns out. We can't always control what happens to us. There's a lot of other people in the world too and circumstances that happen. But a lot of things we can control within ourselves. And the shadow work is, one of those things that can help us learn more about what we can do within ourselves to change the way we perceive the world and ourselves, which actually changes the way things happen to us. So it's giving us back our power. It's empowering us to do these things. It's not taking the power away. Okay, we've got some more welcomes. Hi, Yogini. James says, I've been beginning for 3 years. Awesome. We're always beginning. We're constant beginners. I am learning Lenormand as well as tarot, and that I haven't done that one, but I've heard it's very, very good, and it's a little bit more specific, so sometimes you can get more detail from using that deck from what I've heard. Now, for those of you who do love working with Hekate, I do want to let you know that I do have a free video called Awaken Your Power with Hekate. So that's where you can discover 4 of the essential steps to actually building your true identity and releasing fear and doubt and unlocking your deepest magic, all with the guidance of Hekate. So if you're tired of feeling stuck or unsure of your path, if you know there's more power within you than you're allowing yourself to have, or you're just not sure how to reach it, and if you're ready to embrace who you truly are and live with more confidence, with more clarity, and that spiritual connection, then do take a look at that free video, Awaken Your Power with Hekate. There's a link in the description field below the video, and I'm just going to pop it in the chat as well. And you can find it on my website, mysterywitchschool.com, under my freebies tab, because there's quite a few freebies there on witchcraft, on working with Hekate, and on tarot and shadow work and that kind of thing. I do work with Hekate, with tarot, in the online course that I have with Hekate. That's an identity shifting course. And there is a mini course within that course that is called Shadow Work with Tarot, where you're working with shadow work with Hekate. But I'll talk more about that later. So this is really about trying to move forward and not being held back by fear or self-doubt. So we'll talk about Hekate a little bit first. I did talk about Hekate last week, so I'm not going to talk too much about her history here. But knowing that, Hekate is a pretty ancient goddess of magic, of the moon, of liminal spaces, of inner wisdom, transitions. She is a guardian and a protectress, particularly of children, and a wonderful goddess to work with. She has an interesting reputation. She can be quite fierce, and she also works with other fierce goddesses, and like the Gorgon, like the Furies, like the Harpies, and also the Sirens. But she also works with the Graces as well, and the Fates too. She has an aspects that are in the 3 worlds, so that you've got the chthonic realm or the underworld, you've got the middle realm, which is where we are, and then you've got the upper realms, and she is part of all 3 of those. She's a goddess that sort of covers all the polarity, really. So she's quite an ancient, wise goddess who has a lot of wisdom to share, and seems to be very prevalent at the moment. Over the last probably 10 or so years, she's becoming more and more popular with people. You'll probably be hearing a lot more about her, because we are going through very transitional times right now, stepping into the age of Aquarius. There's a lot of uh, change going on, there's a lot of conflict going on, and we really need to start stepping into our power and not allow ourselves to be so manipulated by the powers that be, or the people that be in power, trying to control everything that we think and everything that we say, particularly, and everything that we do. So we need to be stepping into who we truly are. And we have deities like Hekate that are around to help us do that. She helps us face our shadow side, which is the parts of ourselves that we don't want to face, the things about ourselves that we don't like, the things about ourselves that we've been told are wrong and bad to have, and things about ourselves that are pretty nasty, really, when you think about it. And rather than trying to pretend we don't have those aspects, because all humans do, both the light and the dark, we have to learn how to face these aspects of ourselves and learn how to work with these things in a way that's actually positive for us and find the gifts and the power and all of these things, and Hecate can help you do that. So she resonates a lot with people who are on the crossroads too, a spiritual crossroads where you're just not sure where to go, what to do next, where you've got a lot of choices. And I started working with Hecate more deeply when I was, I guess, on a crossroads and looking for uh, an idea of what really to do with what my business. I'd started out being an EFT practitioner, and I was just going to work doing emotional freedom technique and helping people remove the blockages that are stopping them from moving forward in life. And I really, at the beginning of that business, had absolutely no intentions whatsoever to do Mystery Witch School. And even though at the time I was working, like, voluntarily on on weekends, every second weekend, with a meetup group that was a witchcraft-oriented meetup group with other people, it was really just to have that sense of community and to have it more as a communal, um, yeah, group. And so I didn't really intend to go into doing Mystery Witch School at all. And even though I had people back then asking me if I taught, and I just sort of would say, "No, this is just, just come along to this group and that's it." And it was working with Hecate that helped me transition from just doing the emotional freedom technique to branching into doing Mystery Witch School. And that was a hard decision to make because it was very scary. I didn't really necessarily want to put myself out there to the world that I'm, a witch because, you know, yourselves, there's still a lot of very negative associations with witches and witchcraft, and a lot of people still cannot put themselves out there just simply because of all the prejudice and lies and everything. So working with Hecate just helped it. She helped me clear a lot of the doubt and a lot of the blocks that were in my way of actually making that decision and moving forward with that decision. And some of the ways that she helped me do that was when I would be in meditation, I would ask her a question. I would ask her to show me where I'm blocking myself or show me what the truth is. And then I might have a vision or an idea that would come to me because I'm claircognizant. So generally it's an idea that comes to me. And then I would tap maybe on the situation if I had any blockages around it or fear around it. And if I was unclear about something, I would use the tarot cards. And so she helped me see a lot of those doubts and a lot of the fears and helped me have the courage to actually move through a lot of the self-doubt and a lot of the blocks that come with doing this kind of work. So that's how I've worked with Hecate when it comes to the shadow work recently, or more, yeah, over the last 5 years or however long it's been. And also on other inner work that's still evolving, that I'm still working on. So that's Hecate and what she can do. So I'll just go on to, is Hecate the face of God? One of the very many faces of divine consciousness. Yes, one of the many faces. Um, my only consistent thing over the last few years has been Hecate. I have a very causal, casual, sorry, casual interaction with her though. More an acknowledgement that she is watching and actually working with her. And that's pretty normal from time to time. I don't always necessarily work with her all the time, but I also know that she is still there around when I'm not necessarily it's specifically working with her as well. So when it comes to the tarot, as I said before, it's more than just fortune telling. It can be a mirror to your inner truth. It can be a mirror to what you're really thinking and what you're really feeling, and also what you're really being. So it can really show you some things about yourself that are very useful to you. And when it comes to the path of the witch or the path of the magician or any of the occult type of path, it is a know thyself. You have to know yourself. And that means facing things about yourself you may not want to face and allowing yourself to see things about yourself that you may not want to see. And these can be positive things too, not just negative things, but positive things for positive aspects of yourself that you may not believe that you can step into. So it's light and dark, really, down there in the shadow. And the tarot, because there's so many different ways you can interpret just one tarot card, its meaning is often different every time that card comes up for you in a reading. And the way to work with tarot is to use your intuition before you start using your intellect. You want to look at the card and feel into the card first before you start thinking about what the card technically means. I do have a course on tarot, by the way. It's called The Confident Tarot Reader. That's also on my website and in the description field below the video too. And it's teaching you to read the tarot using your intuition and working with the artwork that's on the tarot. Hopefully, the tarot decks, I know there's lots and lots of tarot decks that are coming out all the time. The artwork is really in sync with the meaning. But definitely with some of the older decks, particularly the ones where you're dealing with the Waite Smith deck, the Crowley deck, the Thoth deck, the symbolism on those cards is very much connected to their meaning. So the way to start working with the tarot on its own is to get used to working with the cards on a daily basis. So yes, pull one card a day. You could ask the question, what do I need to know today? What would be helpful for me today? How can I go about my day in a more positive way? So you're asking the cards to give you insight into what you can actively do. So the cards are helping you be proactive rather than just saying, well, today you'll pick a card and if it's divination, this is what's going to happen today. You're not being proactive. You're just allowing fate to determine what's going to happen that day. But if you're asking the cards, what do I need to know today? What would be helpful for me today? You're asking them to help you with something where you can be proactive and you can actually take the driver's seat that day and not feel that you're always having to succumb to what fate is going to bring you. And you could ask different questions every day. It could be one day, it could be, what do I need to know today? The next day, it could be, what would be really helpful for me to know today? What would be helpful for me to do today? What aspect of myself should I step into today? The tarot can be little reminders about things like that. So I don't know where I put my tarot cards now. There they are. So if you pull a card, I'll just pull any old card at random here, which is kind of funny. And I've said this in videos before. I think I said this in the video on this particular card, but I pull this card so often because there's still so much work to do with this card, but it's the card that was on the top and it's the card that I just pulled randomly. And that is the Eight of Swords, which is a really good card for doing shadow work because it really spells it out. And if you know what the meaning of that card is, generally the meaning that your intellect will go to will be you are basically keeping yourself all tied up mentally, particularly because it's like swords. So swords is to do with your mentality and thoughts because it's related to air, and that you're stuck. And so if you're looking at this from a literal meaning, it would say basically you're stuck. But when you go into the meaning of this card, we see in this particular artwork that, yes, you do have somebody there who is loosely tied up. They have a blindfold over their eyes, so they can't see where they're going. They can't see where they maybe even want to go. They can't move. They can move, they can walk. Their legs aren't tied up. But there's all these swords around them, which looks like a bit of a barrier. But there's actually a gap behind the person. So there is a way out. And when you see the mountain behind, you've got the castle at the mountain. The idea of this card is to find out what's keeping you blinded, what you're not seeing, what you're not allowing yourself to see perhaps. Untie yourself from the bonds that are generally your thoughts and your fears and your doubts, and turn around and walk between the swords, and you can go up the mountain to the castle. That's the message. There's some water in there too, so there's emotional aspects to this card too. It's not all in the head because there's water as well. And it's actually got a very beautiful meaning when you really understand the card. But if you pulled this card one day and perhaps maybe you ask the question, "What do I need to know today?" then the card's telling you, you need to know where you're holding yourself back. So think about, where do I hold myself back? Where am I holding myself back? And throughout the day, just ask yourself, where am I holding myself back? Am I feeling self-doubt? What am I doing that's keeping me bound to something? If you ask the card, what version of myself or what aspect of myself should I step into today? Or how can I step into my higher self today? And this card comes up. Again, it's telling you to look at where you're holding yourself back and do something about hold where you're holding yourself back. So it's just giving you a message about what you need to know that can be helpful. If you were to pull this card from a divination perspective of what's going to happen to me today, so you're being a little bit more fatalistic, this card's basically saying you're not going anywhere, you're not doing nothing because you're stuck. You're stuck. You don't know where to go or what to do. And you could take that as meaning, as a very negative meaning, and end up being stuck that day because you've taken the card as being fatalistic. But even if you're looking at it divination wise, it could be saying, today, you're going to have to deal with a lot of blocks that are keeping you stuck today. Or things are going to come up for you where you're going to feel like this today. So, what are you going to do about it? Reading the cards like that and using them to help you solve problems is the way to read the cards. But it's just funny that card came up because it's just always comes up that card. Because I'm probably one of the biggest Eight of Swords people there is when it comes to all the work that I've done on blocks and things like that. Okay. So I'll just have a look at some more comments. I kind of find a strange cognitive dissonance with people who go to have tarot readings but think people who they know doing it are actually weirdos. That's interesting. Yeah, I can understand the cognitive dissonance there. Some deities ask for help or a favor in return for us asking them for help. What are the best methods to discover which ones ask for assistance in return after they've helped us? What assistance would they need from someone? Do you have an example of what they want help, what they would want our help for? Generally, we are asking for their help. With Hekate, really all she asks for is you to do the work to liberate yourself, to become more of who you are. That is the work you would be doing for her. For example, if you wanted to go down that track, then you would simply ask. So asking for clarity, asking for your needs, asking is the way to get your questions answered, no matter what they are. Asking. So might Hecate return and request our help after she's given us her assistance? I can't imagine what help Hecate would need from us, to be honest with you. She's a goddess who is beyond the physical limitations. So what help could she possibly need from us? Really ask yourself that question. What would we really need? What would she need our help for? Exactly. Given that she is way beyond what we could even imagine, given our amnesia about who and what we truly are. Okay, so that's the tarot side of things. Sometimes you might pull three cards and you might have one card is asking, where am I stuck? Another card might be, where is my blind spot? What am I not seeing? And the other card could be, what can I trust? So rather than just doing a classic three-card pull of, past, present, future, which is more divination, you could just have a question for each of those cards and it could tell you. So again, if we have the Eight of Swords, where am I stuck? It's in here. It's all in your mind. You're stuck because your thinking is stuck. So you need to liberate your thinking. If you pulled that card with what is my blind spot, then the blind spot is that you're not realizing that you are keeping yourself stuck. You're not realizing it's in your thoughts and in your beliefs and in your perception that you're keeping yourself stuck. And so the work is to change all of that. When it comes to what can I trust, it's learning to trust your own intuition with that card. With the Eight of Swords, you do need to learn to trust your intuition and your own inner guidance and not rely so much on the being heady. So these are things, all of the cards can answer those questions for you. And you don't need to be psychic to read the tarot. It's something you practice and you get better at as you practice. And you will find that there's cards that you tend to get more often than other cards, and that is something to learn from as well. So when you want to combine the tarot with Hecate, this is where you're asking Hecate. Once again, if you want help or if you want a question answered, ask. So you can invite Hecate in. If you're already working with her, you might already have an altar set up. You might already have a figurine of her, like a statue of Hecate. You might have a symbol like a key. You could have a painting or a picture of Hecate. Light a candle as a symbol of her torches. You could have light 2 candles. Often we work with 2 candles with Hecate because she has torches, but you can just use 1 torch or 1 candle. And ask her to be present. Ask her to help you with your situation. So if you're feeling stuck, ask her to help you see where you're stuck and to help guide you to choosing the right direction to go in, referring to the crossroads, to be able to become unstuck. You can make these words up yourself. You don't need a formal verse to say to Hecate. You can just simply ask her to be present, thank her for being present, and just ask her what it is you're wanting her to help you with, just using plain old everyday words. That doesn't have to be poetic. It doesn't have to be something ancient. It can just be whatever you are thinking and feeling at the time. And I like to go into a little bit of a meditation first before I do anything. You can also do chants to Hecate as well. And just listen in to what it is you're feeling when you go into that meditation. Do you get any ideas that come into your head? Do you get any sensations in your body? Do you have any visions in your imagination? Do you hear any advice coming in more from an auditory perspective in your imagination? What are you experiencing when you just allow yourself to go into that sense of meditation? And the meditation is really just focusing on your body and how it feels. So as you're feeling into your body and what it feels, you might be focus on the image of Hecate, and then what thoughts come to you, what feelings come to you, what visions come to you. And if you're having trouble with that, just practice will help you with that. And then when you're ready, you can take your deck of cards and then just ask Hecate, help me today with my tarot reading. I want to find out where I'm stuck and how to move through this. Help give me your blessing and help me interpret the cards as to the point where they will help me, or help me interpret the cards well, help me connect to what I truly want through the cards. You can word it whatever way you want to word it. And then you can ask the cards, what is holding me back from stepping into my power? Shuffle the cards. You could pick 1 card like we did before, or you could do a Celtic cross spread or any of the other thousands of tarot spreads out there. Or you can sometimes even go through the cards and pick a card that appeals to you. So this is where you're actually looking at the cards face up and going to a card that for some reason that day it's appealing to you or it's calling to you. So it doesn't necessarily mean even picking a card at random. It can actually mean actually going through and seeing what you're drawn to that day as well. So it's another way of working with the cards. But some of the questions you want to ask the cards and ask Hekate to help you answer is, what is holding me back from stepping into my power? What shadow do I need to face? And this could be a light shadow or a dark shadow. What aspects of my true self is ready to awaken? So any of these questions could be answered by one card, or you could come up with a spread that gives you a few different positions and a few different choices, like the one that I had above, where it says, where am I stuck? What's my blind spot? And what can I trust? And then really think about what the cards are saying back to you. So if you pull, I'll try and pull another card this time. It's still on the same theme, which is interesting. We've got the devil card here, which is another one about bondage and being stuck to your fears and also addictions. So this is very much being in the earth plane of basically being stuck in the ego self, and stuck in the fears, stuck in doubt, and believing that you have no power. There's stuck in beliefs, stuck in perception, and also giving in to the physical body a lot of the time in the means of addictions, not having the will to be able to change your circumstances, not having the discipline to be able to change your circumstances. So this is an interesting card to bring up in regards to shadow work, because it's a great shadow work card, just like the Eight of Swords is a great shadow work card. So I'll just go on with this. So if you're asking, what is holding me back from stepping into my power? This is a really pretty obvious card. It's showing you that you're holding yourself bound to the physical, to maybe survival fears, to fears that you can't do something. Maybe it's bondage to another person, or the belief that if you change, then you're going to lose the connection to a particular person. What are you bound to? Where are you bonded that's holding you back and keeping you stuck? What fears do you have that are stopping you from moving forward? How are you perceiving the world? Do you perceive the world as a really dangerous place that you have to hide from? Or are you perceiving the world as, yeah, it may still be a dangerous place, but as a witch or as a magician, you have the power to be able to change that in relation to yourself. What shadow do I need to face? Well, this shadow could be, shadow parts of yourself, parts where you are holding yourself back, or maybe it's parts of you that are addicted to things that are holding you back. It could be you can have an addiction to anything. You could have an addiction to social media, an addiction to some sort of substance, an addiction to a particular hobby or way of being that's actually sucking your energy out of you. And you're doing that instead of doing what you could be doing or being who you could be being in some other way, or doing some other activity that might actually be helping you move through life the way you really want to be moving through life. So, for example, if you really want to get into your witchcraft practice and you want to learn more about witchcraft and step more into who you truly are, and do the shadow work, but you're watching Netflix all the time, then this card could be telling you that maybe you need to give Netflix a little bit less time and spend more time doing the work in your witchcraft practice, perhaps, than watching uh, Netflix. So things like that, this card could be just telling you those things. And what aspect of my true self is ready to awaken, which is another aspect of this card too. So it's also part of you that can see your shadow, the part of you that's actually connected to earth and can function on the earth plane, but isn't attached to things here of the earth plane. So you can navigate your way through the ego and through everything in life, but you're not necessarily really bound by it all of the time. And then if you need to do other work like journaling work, You could ask Hecate to help you with your journaling work, to journal about what it is that you've just read about yourself. How many different ways could this card be referring to you? How many different ways can this card show you what you need to know in order to move forward? And if you're asking Hecate for her help, she'll give you more ideas. That's what I've found personally with Hecate is if I just went to the cards by myself, I might have a very limited view, but if I go to the card asking for Hecate to help me, then she will often give you a little nudge or a little prompt as to more ways that you could see the meaning in the cards. So that's where she can be really helpful there. Okay. I know a Hecate witch who does her practice as repayment for the assistance of helping her do it, but she often says Hecate asks her to talk to those who listen about specific things happening. Okay, so she's like doing the divination work as part of her relationship with Hecate. Yes, because Hecate, yeah, is a goddess also of and if you are working with Hecate particularly, like I feel that Hecate particularly wants to be involved in the shadow work side of the things that I do. That's why she's so involved in the shadow work things that I do, because that's something that she wants to help people through. But with Hecate, it's about helping. So if you're doing work with her, then the way you're helping her is that she's helping other people. So that would be a way that a deity may want you to help her, is actually you're not helping her, you're actually helping other people. It's the people you're helping, really, because deities are beyond needing our help for them personally. Their interest would be in what we can do for others, whether that's, humans or nature or the earth, animals, plants, what we can do, with their help, if that makes sense. Today, I pulled a card and asked follow-up questions as appropriate and carried on until I knew what was being told to me. Yes, and you can ask follow-up questions. So when you have a card that, like, say, the devil card, you might have other questions then related to that because this card's answered a question, but now another question has popped up. And that's what happens. You then go, okay, I know I'm holding myself back in some way. It could be through addiction, it could be that I'm really, really just heavy with being bound to something, but maybe you don't know what that actually is. So you may need to pull another card to help you get more clarity about what it is that you might be spending your time doing in regards to addiction, or spending your time doing in regards to uh, your fears or your doubts. So you might want more clarity then, and pull another card to ask what what area is the doubt related to, and you'll get another card that will come up with that answer to that. Um, yeah, okay. Then once you know what you need to change, because the tarot is asking you to change it, you can make a decision whether it's going to be something that you can just go ahead and do, or whether it's something that's going to need more work. So you might need to do some, tapping, or maybe some guided meditations for something, or you might want to do some journaling to help you get more clarity about something. If you know there's negative beliefs or perceptions that need to change, then using a modality like EFT to help you change those perceptions is going to be your next step. Actually taking action on what it is that you've come up with. Hecate will open doors for you to be able to take those actions. So if you do go ahead to take those actions, you can ask her to open the door, open the way for you so that those actions can become easier for you to take too. And it will be easier for you then to do what you need to do to take action on what it is that you've just read in the cards. And that could be doing a guided meditation too with Hecate. Or it could just be taking an opportunity that maybe you've been afraid to take, or starting something that you've been putting off starting and actually taking that action and, turning off Netflix and actually going and, if you haven't already created, an altar somewhere, creating an altar and at least getting started somewhere. They're the things that you need to take on after you have asked the cards your question. And do that every day. Work like that every day with Hekate. Some days you might want to do a big reading, like a Celtic cross reading or a horoscope reading or something that involves a lot of cards, and work with that on a doesn't have to be a daily basis, but every so often, maybe once a week or once a month, do a bigger reading just to find out how things are going and to get more information. Once you've stopped working that day with Hecate, you can give her your thanks. You can give her some incense as an offering. You might have some essential oils that you might want to use as an offering. And what I do with essential oils is I just put them on the palm of my hand, rub it together, and then I offer the scent as an offering. So you're not having to do a dipnon, obviously, every day, and you're not having to go through bottles of wine or eggs or pomegranates every day. You're really just giving something that is easy for you to give every day as a gratitude or as thanks. And it could be as simple as a glass of water. And whilst we might not value water, water is so necessary for life on this planet that if we didn't have water, we would all be dead very soon. So water actually has more value than we give to it because it really does sustain life. So it is a wonderful gift to offer because of its life-sustaining properties. Okay. I've been told Hecate may direct you to work with other deities because she is a guide and thinks it would be beneficial to your practice. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yep. And she does work with other deities as well. So other goddesses she will work with, often the triplicities she works with too. So yes, Hecate will often guide you to work with other deities and guide you to all kinds of things and places and knowledge. She is very much a guide with her torches on the crossroads. So yes, that's very, very true. So, 5 common questions that people often ask about working with Hecate in the tarot is number 1, how can I connect with Hecate to enhance the tarot readings? You don't have to make this any more complicated than it is, because it isn't actually complicated at all. Just ask her to be present. Have something that connects with her physically, a picture of her, a statue of her, a key, it could be a candle representing a torch. Anything that is a symbol of Hecate, could be a snake, for example, and just ask her to be present. Have an image in your mind of what Hecate would be like, what she might look like if she was in human form, right? And I mean, there's many, many artists have done, pictures and statues of her now very recently. But she does tend to be more of a person that's sort of in that sort of mature age, not mature age, sort of 25 and upwards. And, she's a goddess of, she's a practical goddess. I know a lot of artists like to sexualize her and everything, but she's actually not like that. She is very much a goddess of, just get down to work and let's just do this stuff kind of goddess. So you could see her in her colors. So that could be orange, could be red. They're colors that are associated with her. You could see her connecting to the earth with her bare feet, but maybe she's got, sort of stars or something at the top of her head that are connecting her to the upper realms, and a snake belt around her waist, connecting her to the middle realms and the earth realms. And imagine that she's there before you and just ask her to be present. Ask her to help you. It should just be Hecate. Please help me. Help me. This is what I want to do. This is where I'm stuck. Please help me. And then take action on that. Listen and take action. Pick up your cards, do a reading, and then take action on that reading. Give her thanks with some perfume or oils or incense, and get on with doing stuff, because she is a doing goddess, very much so. Uh, how do how do we connect to what Hecate has communicated to us through the tarot, like through dreams, meditation, signs, symbols? Yes, you may find that dreams may also be ways of connecting you to what you're wanting to know. The tarot could lead you into a dream that night. Um, so do take note of your dreams. Hecate works through dreams as well, and as the higher self works through dreams too, through meditation. So you can meditate on the tarot itself. So if you've pulled a particular card, you can meditate on that card. And meditating on that card can take various different forms. You could imagine you step into the card and have a conversation with one of the characters on that card. So if you were to step into, what card have we got here? We've got the Nine of Cups. So if you wanted to explore this more, you might step into the Nine of Cups, have a conversation with the guy here, ask him about the cups, what do they mean, and see what evolves out of that conversation. You could step into that card and become the guy on the Nine of Cups in this card, and see things from his perspective, for example, and do it that way. Or you could just step into the Nine of Cups card and have a look around and see what you feel your connection is to the character and to the cups there too. So you're using your imagination to actually go and explore the symbols and communicate with the character. And you don't have to just leave it that you can only communicate with a human character. You could have a conversation with the cups or the veil like you can in a dream. So if you're doing dream work, you can have a conversation with anything that's in the dream, and that includes a symbol that's in the dream. In my course, A Journey with Hecate, which is the identity shifting course where you work with Hecate to step into who you truly are and release all of the doubts and everything that's in your way of you being who you truly are and doing what you want to do, we do dream work in that course, as well as having the separate course there, shadow work with tarot as a bonus to that course. Because all of these ways of using symbolism, like dreams and tarot, help you connect to your subconscious mind where all the knowledge is. And Hecate is wonderful at helping with you understand all that symbolism and connect with that symbolism. So it's just a matter of asking her to help you with that. I have a statue with obsidian chips and my old car keys and dead or dried roses. I forgot to put the flowers in water and they died, but looked beautiful, so I gave them to her. Yep, that's fine too. Just dried like potpourri, dried flowers uh, are fine as well. If you could put a bit of rose oil on them too to give them a scent would be helpful as well. Now, what kind of tarot spread works best when working with Hecate? Pretty much any tarot spread that's going to ask you questions about yourself and what you need to know, what you're not looking at, what you're not seeing, what might be in your environment that you're not taking notice of or maybe contributing to the situation. It's, more those inquiry questions rather than, what's going to happen tomorrow or, what's going to happen or a future event type thing. Of course, you can work with Hecate with divination as well, and Hecate does love working with divination and helping people out that way too. But if you're doing work with her personally, you're probably more inclined to work with her to help you just understand more about yourself. But she will help you with divination too. So if you want to do a divination reading to figure out what may be coming your way in the next 3 months, then you can also ask her to assist you with that as well. Is Hecate forgiving? Do we need to ask for forgiveness, like not for being as obedient as we should be? Uh, Yeah, don't think of Hecate like the Christian god, I probably would say. We've been toy growing up believing that, you've got this fire and brimstone god who, wants you to do certain things, and if you're disobedient, you're gonna get punished, you're gonna go to hell, and all of this stuff. And then, of course, you've got a lot of the fundamentalist, people who really take these things to heart and they take it seriously, and then they end up doing all sorts of nasty things to each other because they believe they're doing God's will. Um, it's not like that. Working with Hecate isn't like working with that idea of a fire and brimstone deity who's like your parent. She's not your mother, okay? And you're not a small child, okay? Um, she's not going to discipline you the way a parent would discipline a child. You've got to stop thinking you're a child when it comes to deities. Her role is to get you to be like her. It's to help you grow up into being who you truly are. So her way of working with you is more like a mentor or a coach, where, yes, they're going to push you and yes, they're going to test you, but that is so you can step more into who you are. So forget about obedience. It's not about having to be obedient. It's about following advice, following things. And however that turns out, if you don't follow the advice, then you deal with whatever the repercussions are of you not following that advice. And they may not necessarily be bad things. If you don't want to do something and you feel Hecate's asking you to do it, you can just say no. She's not going to hold it against you. She's not like that. I know a lot of people say she is, but she's not. She's not like that. She's beyond that. She doesn't have an ego. So if she doesn't have an ego, she's not going to take offense to things. She's going to give you your due. I guess that's the best way to look at it. Whatever your due is, she will give you your due. And that's not with any malice or anything. It's just simply you get what you deserve to get. um, and that's all it is. Number 3, can Hecate help me understand difficult or shadow aspects revealed in the tarot? Yes, she can. You still have to put in an effort yourself, though. You have to listen to what comes through the meditation. You have to record your dreams and learn to interpret your dreams to get the messages. Number 4, is it necessary to have a special altar or tools to work with Hecate and tarot together? It's not necessary, but if you are doing a stint with Hecate, like say you're doing a journey with Hecate course, and for the next 4 months I'm going to be working with Hecate, then it's a really good idea to have an altar set up, particularly working with Hecate, or to at least have something there that represents Hecate, so that when you're doing your work with Hecate, you can put that out there and work with that imagery and work more closely with Hecate as you're doing that. Like once a month, have a supper to Hecate so that you're really in connection with her when you're doing the work. Number 5 is, how do I know if the messages I get in tarot readings are truly from Hecate's guidance? Place your hand on your heart and feel into how true it feels, or whether it feels like a yes or whether it feels like a no. When you put your hand on your heart, you're following your intuition, your inner guidance. Your body will go towards the hand. So if you're putting, say this is the body and this is my hand on my heart, the body is going to go towards the hand if it's a yes, and away it's going to retreat if it's a no. So work with your more of a kinesiology kind of way of working, but it is a really great way of understanding your connection of what's good for you and what's not good for you, and what's right and what's wrong, is to just listen to your heart. Everything requires us to do the work. We can be shown the work needed, but if we don't do it, who will? Absolutely. We do have to do the work, because it's in doing the work that we actually change. We can't change unless we do the work. That's why no one can do it for us. We're here to do the work. That's what we came here to do. We came here to explore and to create and be more of who we are in a physical realm that we can create in. That's what we're doing here. And deities like Hecate are helping us do that because they've already done it. So it's like when you've already done something, often you want to help other people with that. In Buddhism, for example, they have the bodhisattvas who don't, you know, completely go into the enlightenment of nirvana, they come back to help other people do the same thing. So I guess you could think of some deities in very similar ways to bodhisattvas. So they're there to also wake us up to who we are. We have to wake up. We're asleep, and we're we have no concept of who and what we are, and we have to wake up to who and what we are. Okay. So, yes, if today's video does resonate with you, if you're ready to go deeper with Hecate and truly embody your magic, then I do invite you to take the next step, which is a journey with Hecate. So that is a course where you're guided through step-by-step path of inner transformation, shadow work, spiritual empowerment, so you can release the doubts and the fears that are holding you back and stopping you from awaken to who you truly are and step into your magical being. So there's guided meditations, there's spell work in there, and of course working with Hecate ritually to help you to navigate your way through this terrain as well. So you're not only getting like full it's transformational program really, and it's the journey that I took with Hecate essentially. But you also get with that the shadow work with tarot. So this is your step-by-step guide as well to using the tarot for that deeper healing and self-discovery working with Hecate. So it's helping you use tarot, dream work, guided meditations, and your experience and your imagination of being and living as the person you truly want to be and live as and do what you're truly wanting to do. It'll really help you with your magic so that when you do come to do magic for doing things and being who you want to be, you're going to have a much better understanding of how you need to feel into that magic and how to make that magic actually work for you because you'll be doing it all the time when you're working with Hecate. So that's a journey with Hecate. There's a link in the description field below the video. There's also links, of course, on my website, on my homepage. There's a guide to all my courses there. So Journey with Hecate is there as well. And I'll just pop it in the chat too. Okay. Everything requires us to do the work. Yep. Too many people think magic removes the need to do work. They want a quick fix. They blame TikTok. Yes, the quick fix. I think that's always been the image of magic in Hollywood and in fairy tales. You wiggle your nose and stuff happens. Wouldn't that be wonderful if you could just wiggle your nose and stuff happened? The world would be a very different place. It'd be a very different place. I always wanted to be able to do that when I was a little girl. We had Bewitched was the reruns of Bewitched were on all the time. And my I used to wish on a star. So when the evening star would come out, I would wish on the star that I when I grew up, that I could be a witch, a good witch like Samantha. And I always had that wish as a child because I thought it'd be really, really cool to be able to wiggle your nose and stuff would happen. But no, yes, you do have to put into work. There is work to put in. And but, doing the work is rewarding. You really feel good when you do put the work in and you learn more. It changes you as you do it. We live in a material world. The material world is a doing world. So we can't spend our lives, just meditating in a cave in the mountains with witchcraft or magic. It's a being in the world activity and navigating in the world using our powers of magic and knowledge, and that's a hard path. It's not easy. Sometimes it might be easier to go into a mountain and spend the rest of your days just meditating in the Himalayas somewhere, but actually doing this and being in the world at the same time is more it's challenging. It's very, very challenging. Yes, Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie. Yes, I used to watch those shows too. Yep, they were on all the time. And, yeah, I loved all shows magical. I really loved as a child, and the fairy tales and, The Wizard of Oz and the things like that. I grew up with, really, really loving and enjoying, and obviously nothing really has changed because I'm still into, obviously, that stuff too. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you again next week with another live. So enjoy working with Hecate. And yeah, if you're really wanting to make those changes, then yes, do come along and join in with us, a journey with Hecate, because she can really, really help you on your path. And she really wants to help you on your path. Okay, so the last comment is I wanted to be monkey great sage, equal of heaven when I was little. Ah, yes. There were so many different shows that had all these wise people and yes, monkey. Yeah. So cool. Okay. Blessed be everyone. Have a wonderful week.